Wow. We are with Marcella Cortland and Alrik Bursell, and their film is Parka, and they're in the horror block this year. Thank you for being part of Kapow. How are you?
Hey, Matthew M. Jones. We're doing great. Thank you so much for having Parka in your programming. We're really excited to be a part of the Kapow Film Festival.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
You're welcome. So we have a series of questions for you, and the first one, and I think this is going to be interesting, is what was the inspiration for the film?
Well, so I've been it's basically a true story. I've been a vegetarian for most of my life, and I have this adorable 90-year-old aunt that likes to lavish me with presents from time to time. And she gave me this incredibly gorgeous coat that is lined with fur. And so, you know, I couldn't send it back to her because she gave this with love, right? Thinking, oh, Marcella's gonna love this coat. But so I was faced with this dilemma. What do I do with this coat? I mean, I can't, it would be so hypocritical of me as a vegetarian to be wearing a fur coat. And so I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we just kind of riffed into this story. And I thought, at the end of the conversation, I thought, this could make a really fun short film. And I had to add an ending to it, of course. But basically, that's the impetus of the story.
And then the parka in the movie is the actual parka that Marcella got from the aunt, which is really, really fun.
That's true. I put it to good use after all.
All right, you did put that part in your bio description on the page about it being the actual coat, so that's funny. So I guess the next question is for Alrik. What camera did you use, and what format did you shoot?
So we shot on the Alexa Mini, the Arri Alexa Mini, in 4K, and then we shot in I think 2.39 or 2.4. You know, the really wide, format, widescreen, just because we really wanted it to be cinematic, and we really wanted it to have that cinematic feel, especially of like old classic movies. From the old days, although some of those are shot in 4:3, but we were like, you know what, we want that cinematic feeling. So that's what we went with.
Yeah, I mean, the image quality is really nice. Actually, I thought that maybe you had shot on film when we had our first talk.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, good job. So where did you guys shoot? Was it the Fairmont Hotel? Did I read that right? What's the story with the Fairmont? And then my follow-up question was, and how much was the location fee?
So when Alrik and I got together, I asked him if he would be interested in co-directing this with me, because I haven't directed anything before, and I've worked with Alrik a number of times on projects. And I was so happy that he said yes. So when we first got together to try to hash out the logistics, he said, well, Marcella, think about like the most perfect place, even though it might seem completely out of reach. Let's start with what our most perfect ideal location would be. And so the top of our list, of both of our lists, was the Fairmont in San Francisco on Nob Hill. It's got this beautiful old glamour, marble, gilded, amazing staircase. So we just thought, okay, well, we're never going to get it, but you have to make that call, right? You have to make that phone call just to see. And so I got a hold of, they actually have like a film, a department that handles media, film and television. And so I said, well, we just need it for one night, an overnight shoot. And so the person I talked to said, well, okay, yeah, we could do that for $10,000. And we're like, yeah, no, that can't happen. that's like more than the whole film will cost to make, right? And so she said, okay, well, tell me what you can do. And I gave her a ridiculously low number that I just knew that she would balk at. And so she goes, well, I'll tell you what, let me get back to you. So several days later, I'm like waiting for that phone to ring. Will he do it? Will he do it? What will they negotiate, like a higher price or whatever? She called me back and she said, okay, you can have it for that, but you don't get any support staff. And I'm like, that is so totally fine. We're going to have our crew there. We don't need like special support. So that's how we got that one.
Nice. It's a beautiful location. It really is.
And then the follow-up, we also had to do the alley. And Alrik, why don't you pick this one up?
Yeah, so like I was gonna say, like after Marcella pulled out this miracle with our dream location, it was like, oh wow, we're making this movie now, like it's actually happening. And then it was like we had to find the alley location. So Marcella did some scouting, I did some scouting in our respective neighborhoods, but then we met up together in San Francisco and decided like we should really try to find an alley in San Francisco to make like the move from location to location easier. And so we scouted like 5, 6, 8, 10 alleys. And then one of them was a recommendation from our producer and assistant director, Ed Ing, because he, knew the owner of a production company that had a back alley right behind the studio in San Francisco. And so he said, go check that out. We checked it out. We both loved it. And then Ed made it happen. And then we were able to, have all the crew and everything inside the production offices at night. And then we were, off in the alley, shooting. So it was really ideal. Like everyone had a place to go. There's a bathroom, there was craft services. It was nice. Cause some of the options we were looking at, there was like, we didn't have any connections. So it'd be like, well, what are we going to do? Like, just like park on the street. And I've done that before. Like I've done shoots all night in San Francisco where we're just on the street, and it's definitely not as fun.
Yeah. And you encounter homeless people kind of camped out there, and fortunately this alley didn't have that.
Yeah.
When you're shooting on the street, it's like sometimes you end up being, you think you're a PA or you think you're a producer, but you end up being kind of like a cop. It's like, go this way, you guys.
That is the truth.
Yeah, I've experienced that more than once. So that is definitely the joys of filmmaking. So who did the editing?
Oh, so Marcella and I, in true collaborative form, did everything together. So, she wrote the script and then I kind of gave some insight on it. And then like as directors, we kind of made every decision as a team. And then we wanted to carry that in onto the editing. So we co-edited the movie together where, I didn't even do anything really without Marcella's input. We kind of looked at every take together, every scene together, and made every decision together. So we co-edited the project.
Do you use Premiere? Do you use Avid? What software?
We use Premiere.
Seems like everybody's going there. Does Final Cut Pro even exist anymore?
People use it. There's definitely some people who still do 7 and have held on to 7, like with gripped fists. But, I feel like when the whole, when they went to 10 and they weren't going to update 7 anymore and they switched their software, like the company that I worked for at the time switched to Premiere, and I just made the switch with them, and then I haven't looked back since,
Yeah, I mean, I got to pay for the Adobe subscription, and I just get all of them because I use Photoshop and After Effects and design. Just like Premiere just comes with it. I'm like, I don't know why I'm going to spend extra money. Adobe kind of locked me in with the monthly, which I'm fine with because it's actually pretty affordable now, and it's not like you have to throw $1,000 for all this stuff. So actually, I kind of like the subscription service myself. Being
that's nice. It's pretty inexpensive, for what you get out of it.
Yeah. Well, one thing that Adobe cannot do is create a animated raccoon. So, who made the raccoon, and was it a puppet on the last shot? Those are my questions about the raccoon, without doing a spoiler. I mean, I guess at this point, I've already seen the movie, so you know what happens. So tell me about the raccoon.
So when Alrik and I started talking about this, this was going to be our biggest hurdle. Like if you don't have a giant raccoon, you don't have this film, right? Um, and so I talked to some CGI people, and we really didn't want to go down that route since we both kind of like practical effects. And then we also knew the CGI would take a long time and be very expensive. So I am a festival coordinator for the Yountville International Short Film Festival, and I was up there at the festival networking with a bunch of other filmmakers. And one guy, he wasn't a filmmaker, he was in the audience. He came to see the festival, and we started talking. I said, well, what do you do? He goes, oh, I really like film, and I make things uh, like special effects things. What's that? Sorry.
Animatronics?
Yeah, animatronics and special effects. He does special effects like with blood and that kind of thing. So in my mind, like the light bulb went off. I'm like, really? Well, could you make a giant raccoon? He goes, yeah, I can make a giant raccoon. Yeah, sure. I'm like, okay, we have a film. And you know what? He made the giant raccoon, and it took him a long time. And like the last week, I don't think he slept. And it never occurred to me that the raccoon wouldn't be ready for our shoot. But when I started hearing things like, yeah, we haven't slept. I've got my girlfriend helping me, Alexi, and we haven't slept for like 3 days to get this done. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you.
But then when we went and saw it in person, like 3 days before or something, and then we actually saw him operate it, and the mouth of the raccoon popped open, and we were like, okay, this is good. We're in good shape here.
Yeah, and it's got the jaws and the eyes lit up, and we're
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, cool.
Yeah, the eyes were practical. We didn't do any, really like the visual effects on the raccoon were super small. It was mostly just painting things out because everything was practical in that for that.
That guy, the giant raccoon is Mortimer, and his little sidekick is Bastion. And yes, they're both puppets, and they were both being worked. Mortimer took, I think, three people to run him, and then Bastion, his little buddy, was one person. So here's like 4 people, like lobbing down this dark alley in San Francisco with these creatures. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and getting the way that they moved right, and like that felt like, okay, if you took the people away from it, and like took out like the puppeteers, like, is this going to look good? And they got the bounce. I think that the kind of way that they moved was good. I liked it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really liked your film a lot. So what are you guys working on next? What's your next project? What's the big next thing?
So when we were doing Parka, Marcella and I were also prepping for, my first feature film as a director, called The Alternate, which we shot in December of 2019. And that's going to be out in the film festivals later this year, hopefully. And Marcella was a producer on that film, so that was really great. We got to work on that together. And then we did another movie together in February of 2020 that we were both producers on, called Red Snow, which is also going to be in film festivals, hopefully in late 2020. But then Marcella, you have another project that you want to talk about, right?
Yes, I do. I'm a producer on a film that premiered at the Santa Barbara Film Festival last year in 2020, just before the pandemic hit. And it's being released today in drive-in theaters and also in all of the medias like Apple iTunes and Hulu and Amazon. And it is called The Night. It's an American Iranian horror film. So it's quite unique that way, but it's really beautifully done. It's a good ride if you get a chance to watch it.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing more work from you guys. And before we go, let's take a look at your poster. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. So there seems to be a discrepancy of opinion between you two on which is the stronger concept on the poster. So Alrik, this is your favorite, correct? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say. I like this one a lot. I think it's very like, classic sort of a horror film, like thriller. It's provocative. It really shows off the Parka and our lead actor, and I just really like it.
I love this poster too. Let me just say, because it's like Alrik pretty much put that together, but he's like, well, what would be the image? Because we talked to people about having the poster made, and it was just going to be so expensive. And we're like, okay, I think Alrik's like, I think we can do this, and let's get our favorite image. But moving on to the next one was something like, before we even did anything with the movie, we wanted to have some art to show, like to put on the Facebook page and that kind of thing. And so my niece at the time, she has since graduated, but she was an art student at UCSC. And I know she's a very talented drawer. And I said, Anna, can you, so I showed her the parka. In fact, I took selfies of myself wearing the parka. And then I sent her a picture of a raccoon. I said, can you composite these into a drawing and make our like preliminary poster for us? She knocked this out seriously in like a few hours, and I just love it so much. I had t-shirts made for the crew, and I've had a mug made. I even got mouse pads and bags and stuff. So yeah, I love this little guy.
Yeah, I
Also,
gotta say, I love the illustration. I really do. I feel like that's the stronger one, and I inadvertently put that as the poster on the official selection page. And you're right. I would wear this on a T-shirt, and I think it's great. It's kind of punk rock, and
It is.
so I do a poster forum and we do have a poster award, and I may have to put this in the running for best poster. And I really like the illustration.
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
so we're figuring out that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say we're figuring out when the slot's gonna be, but we're gonna do we're gonna go through all the ones that I think that are the best, and then we give out an award for best poster
Awesome.
at the end of the festival. So I feel like the marketing department always gets the shaft in film festivals. No one ever talks about that was a great trailer. Like your title design was awesome. I feel like there's an art form there that really is not really represented very well
That's funny.
in the festival circuit. So we try to add that at Kapow, and so that's going to be one of the things that will come up this next week.
Well, we had talked about having like a little blood coming off the lip of the illustration, and we went back and forth and thought, okay, that might be a little too much, a little too cartoony or something. But then Alrik came up with this incredible font for the title, which kind of, it reflects that feeling of blood, right? So it took care of that need and made a great impression.
Yeah, it's a very stark, because it's very Care Berry up top, and then you let it know that this is a horror movie with your font selection and your color selection. So it's like I really like it. That my only complaint is the C should be smaller, so we don't really see the C in the.
Oh.
That would be my only
that's
my
funny.
Photoshop note. So
I hear that.
But I loved your guys' film, and I loved your poster, and so thank you so much for being part of Kapow this year. And
thank you. We're so happy to be a part of the programming, and so happy that you select us and spoke with us today. This is so exciting.
Yes, it's fun. It's been a long time since I've been around a bunch of filmmaking nerds, so it's like it was good to hang out with you guys. And I say that with love. I do. I say
yes.
Totally.
Yes. Yeah. No, absolutely.
So thank you again.
Who else but nerds would do this?
I'm sorry?
Who else but nerds would do this?
I gotta agree with you on that point. I do. But thank you again, and stay safe, and hope to see you around the halls of the festival, because we're going to be doing a bunch of live stuff. We have a live room as part of Filmocracy. So, and we're going to be doing movie trivia also, where you can win some wine, some prizes, and I think we're going to do some gift cards and things like that. So
Cool.
yeah, so we're going to be doing a lot more announcements on social media and some of your links to your new projects. So
Okay.
Will do.
all right.
Awesome.
Wow.